Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Among contemporary Shia, one of the most significant intellectual discussion concerned the nature of legitimate political authority during the occultation of Imam Az-Zaman Ajallah Faraj Sharif. While all Shia share the same fundamental beliefs regarding the Imamah, the Ahlul Bayt, and the centrality of justice, they have not always agreed on how religious authority should relate to political power. In broad terms, contemporary Shi'i thought contained two major tendencies. The first tendency is associated with the doctrine of Wilayat al-Faqih al-Mutlaqa, as developed by al-Khomeini, and subsequently upheld by Khomeini. According to this view, a qualified jurist possesses not only religious authority, but also a broad mandate to exercise political guardianship over a society in the absence of the 12 Imam. This theory became the constitutional foundation of the regime in Tehran, called the Islamic Republic of Iran, and represent one of the most influential political developments in the modern Shi'i history. The second tendency is often associated with the scholarly tradition of Najaf and Mashhad and Isfahan and many other Hawza and many of the major Maraji who have shaped contemporary Shi'i jurisprudence, including Abul Qasim al-Khawi, Sayyid Ali al-Sistani, Sheikh Muhammad Ishaq al-Fayyad, Sheikh Bashir Najafi, Sayyid Muhammad al-Shirazi, and many others. And although differing on certain issues, many scholars connected to the broader Quietist tradition. This approach generally recognizes the religious authority of jurists while maintaining greater caution regarding the concentration of political power in clerical institutions. The distinction is not theological but political and in fiqh. Both schools affirm the 12 Imam. Both affirm the authority of qualifying jurists in matter of religious law. Both commemorate Karbala and regards Imam Hussein alayhi salam as the supreme embodiment of sacrifice and justice. The disagreement concerns the scope of clerical authority in governing the state. The distinction becomes particularly important when examining the legacy of Imam Hussein. The stand of Imam Hussein alayhi salam at Karbala was not a defense of a particular constitutional model, whether it was a defense of moral accountability against the danger of unchecked political authority. His refusal to pledge allegiance to Yazid stemmed from the conviction that legitimacy required justice and that power alone cannot generate moral authority. For many scholars associated with the Najaf tradition, this lesson encourages caution towards the fusion of religious sanctity and the state power. They argue that because the infallible Imam is absent, no fallible ruler, however learned or pious, should be invested with an authority approaching that of the Imams themselves. This concern can be found in varying form in the writing and teaching of scholars such as Al-Khawi or Al-Sistani, even Al-Fayyad, supporter of the Wilayat al-Faqih Mutlaqa, however, argue that the implementation of justice and the protection of the Islamic society require a more active political role for qualifying jurists. They maintain that religious guidance cannot be completed separated from governance, and that juristic leadership provides necessary framework for preserving Islamic value in public life. When we look at it according to our religion and in academic setup, we must recognize that both perspectives emerge from within the Shi'i scholarly tradition. Neither side possesses a monopoly on devotion to Imam Hussein, nor can either claim exclusive ownership of Shi'i identity. The real challenge facing the Shi'i communities today is not the existence of these disagreements. Intellectual disagreement has always been part of Shi'i history. The challenge arises when political allegiance begins to overshadow the ethical principle that originally inspired the community, and that the Shia, following the Wilayat al-Faqih, become towards the religion of the Zaydin and the Batri'ism, and the Shia traditionalists are mostly known as Rafidi. In some circles, support of a political system has become a test of religious authenticity. In others, opposition to that same system has become an identity marker of its own. Both tendencies risk reducing the rich intellectual heritage of Shiism to contemporary political alignments. Imam Hussein's legacy points in a different direction. Karbala teaches that truth is greater than faction, justice greater than power, and conscience greater than political expediency. The lesson of Ashura is not that believers must unite behind a particular government, nor that they must oppose every government. Rather, it is that every political project should be evaluated according to ethical principles rooted in the teaching of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Ahlul Bayt. This perspective is particularly relevant in a global Shi'i community that includes anyone, even the one who follow the Iranian regime agenda, because they don't know, and even the one who follow a Sistani and numerous other scholarly traditions. These differences are real and should not be ignored, yet they should not become grounds of mutual exclusion and sectarian hostility within the Shia world itself. A mature Shia intellectual culture should be capable of sustaining profound disagreement regarding governance while preserving unity around shared theological foundations. The future of Shiism depends not upon uniformity of political opinion, but upon fidelity to the principle embodied by Imam Hussein alayhi salam: justice, integrity, dignity, and moral courage. Ultimately, the question is not whether one belongs to the school of the Batri and the Wilayat al-Faqih or to the pure Shia, Rafidi, traditional Najaf-oriented approach associated with scholars such as Al-Khawi, Al-Sistani, Al-Fayyad, Al-Sayyid Al-Shirazi. The deeper question is whether political commitments remain subordinate to the ethical vision of Islam itself. Imam Hussein alayhi salam did not sacrifice his life so that future generation will inherit a political faction. He sacrificed his life so that truth will never become subordinate to power. Any political theory, whether embraced or rejected, must ultimately be measured against that enduring standard. So I hope that today lesson was useful to understand better the difference between the Batri Shia pro-Wilayat al-Faqih and the Rafidi traditional Shia. And we ask Imam Hussein alayhi salam, inshallah, to unite all the Shia together under the flag of Abi Abdullah al-Hussein. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.